There we go. I think it's all very last minute. Check, check. Yep. Okay, okay. No need echo cancellation on. StreamYard, thank you very much. Hi, everybody. Just kind of getting my layout all situated. There we go. Yeah, no, hi, Tay. And hello, Clinton. Of course. Clinton and Tay in the house. In a mad dash to set up the live stream because like I was getting ready this morning. I was like, I've done a live stream in a while. I'm just gonna do one when I get downstairs. And started at 9, but then I kicked into kind of like autopilot brain, and my autopilot brain sets live streams to 10 a.m. because that's when AI Inside is. And so I set it, and then I realized as I was about to go live, I was like, wait a minute, it says an hour from now, but it's not an hour from now. It's now. So I had to change it. So there you go. There's the backstory. Hi, Lou. Good to have you here as well. Good to see you all. Yeah, how y'all doing? I got Bronson sitting on the floor, kind of looking like he looks like a rag doll. Like he's so shaggy. I wish I could show you. I guess I could. I could, but it would mean me fiddling with my phone to set up another camera. And I don't know if I want to do that. So I'm just going to accept it as the way it is. 7 days left until you leave on vacation. Yeah, that sounds exciting. I'm curious to know where you're going. Where is vacation, Clinton? And I'm jealous. That sounds like fun wherever you're going. Anytime you can step off of the treadmill. There's the word I was looking for. Right now he's chewing on a bone. I'm not going to disrupt him. He's about to get a haircut. So a little bit later, I'm going to take him to get a haircut. I usually cut his hair, but I've kind of fallen out of. Well, it's not that I've fallen out of the habit. It's just that we've been incredibly busy and I haven't had the chance to. And he's kind of built up some matting and stuff like that. So I'm kind of like, you know what? I've cut his hair for a full year. I can pay for a haircut just to get someone to do it right. He's probably going to look like a rat because he has so many mats and everything. But hello, Marcello. Good to have you here. Hello, Nuno, Yellow. And Ozone Nightmare, of course. Man, all greatest hits showing up in the chat room right now. Clinton, so you're flying to San Juan, then a 10-night cruise in the East Caribbean. I am so incredibly jealous. Well, and you had some stuff that you were getting over, some medical stuff, and so this is probably on the other end of that. This is probably the all right. I worked my butt off to get through that. You deserve a vacation. So I'm happy you're going. That sounds awesome. I haven't done a cruise since I was a kid. My parents took us on a couple of cruises. We did a Tahiti cruise, and then we did a Caribbean cruise. I would say the Tahiti cruise won. It was remarkable. Caribbean cruise was cool, but it came after the Tahiti cruise, and Tahiti and the Caribbean, like they're just kind of different. You know what I mean? At least this was in the 80s, mid to probably more like late 80s. And I don't know how Tahiti is now, but back then, it was definitely it was a destination, but it wasn't quite the same as like a destination like in the Caribbean. Like everybody knows about the Caribbean. Tahiti's kind of, French Polynesia. It's a little bit less accessible, a little bit more expensive, and so not as many people, competing. Although with that cruise, that was interesting because it was the first time I'd ever done anything like that. I was in 7th grade, and it was a 2-week vacation. And the first week was the cruise. It was this very small cruise ship. I think there was like a total of 100 people on it. It still seemed big to me because I was young, but there was like 100 people on it, so by today's standards of like how big cruises get. very small. And it was very much the kind of thing where we, as cruises do, stop at each individual island. Sure, go off, spend a day into the evening, and then come back eventually. And then overnight, we would, cruise on to the next island. And it was very close and authentic. Like I have this really vivid memory of going into of such an 80s free range kid, because like we're on this island in Tahiti, and I totally remember getting the latitude for my parents to just explore, just be back at the cruise ship before we leave. I may have been with my sister at the time. I probably was. Let's be honest. She was 4 years older than me. But the memory that I have is, I can't, and I wish I could remember which island it was, but it was very much nighttime. It was dark. It was a village or a town that I was exploring. And I found this place that had, some stuff happening. When I looked inside, they had the video game. It was a boxing game. What was the name of that boxing game? Now I got to look it up, because it's probably not the one that, it's not Mike Tyson or anything like that. Not King of Boxer. I guess that's one of the names, but it was a different name. It wasn't King of Boxer. King of Boxer, alternate name. Ring King. That's what it was. It was Ring King. Thank you, Ozone Nightmare. And I looked into this place, and there were all these like locals and kids, local kids and everything gathered around this arcade machine, the Ring King machine. And I was like, oh, this is my jam. And so I went in there and totally worked my way in. And I'm realizing as I'm saying this now, I don't know if this is one of those memories that like has become a memory, even though it didn't happen over time. But like my memory of that moment is that I did so well that I had like the kids around me, like cheering me on and stuff. And now that I think about it, I'm like, God, did I make that up? But I totally remember that. And I remember it being just really cool. Like, I'm here playing games with a bunch of locals, and they're stoked, So it probably did happen. It probably happened. It's probably a mixture of both. It probably happened to a certain degree. Like they were like, happy and maybe cheering me on a little bit. But like what I remember is that it was like this movie scene, like, yeah, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's a great game. Of the old arcade games, it's one of my favorites. It's a fun one. It's a fun one to go back to. Ring King. Definitely check it out if you haven't. It has a nice rhythm to it. When you get into a rhythm of kind of hitting and stuff, and it's not like Punch Out where you're just in a single place, like you're moving around the whole mat, but it's advanced enough that it looks good enough, and it's not like really kind of so archaic and ancient that it's kind of hard to get into, Anyways, yes, big hair on the characters. My coughing is much less today, so apologies. Every once in a while, I will have a little coughing fit, but I think I'm finally getting over this cough, which I'm very happy about. But anyways, good to see you all. Oh, and then to check back in on you, Clinton. So let's see here. Ship holds 2,700 people. Wow. So San Juan, Tortola, St. John's, Basseterre, Fort de France, Castries, like pastries? I don't know. Bridgetown, Kingstown, San Juan. That sounds like a lot of fun. That also sounds like a lot of places. Are you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and you're there for how many days? I'm just scrolling back. 10 nights. Okay, so you're at each place for like a day, essentially. Yeah. But it's not like when you're traveling, you're probably traveling overnight, right? With the cruises, that's usually what they do. Like while you sleep, you're going 7 port stops, 10 nights. Okay, so you've got a couple of days for a few locations, right? I guess what I'm thinking is like, sometimes it's nice to be at a place longer than, 2 sea days. So you are just doing like a day at each location. Sometimes it's nice to get more than a day at a place, but I guess with a cruise, yeah, that's generally how they usually plan those. Well, that's cool. I wonder if I'll go on a cruise again someday. Probably as I get older, we might look into a cruise. We generally like to guide the adventure more than be taken on an adventure, you know? I think as we get older, that'll probably change eventually, you know? That's cruise is really great for that. It's kind of like, well, just take me to the places. Take me to where where I need to go and make it easier for me, you know, as opposed to, doing it all yourself. So cool. Well, have a great time. I'm so excited for you. That sounds like a blast. I want to go on a cruise. I want to go on a vacation. Although I say that and I do, but I also am kind of cool to kind of chill out on the travel right now. It's been a lot of travel. Mobile World Congress. Well, it hasn't. Yeah, it's been a lot of travel. Mobile World Congress. It was the trip to Colorado that I ended up doing the OnePlus Watch 3 review. Sorry. Tied to, and then getting sick before and after those trips and everything. So it's been a lot. It's been a lot of things. But yeah, if y'all have any questions or any ideas, things that you want me to kind of talk about, otherwise I'll just kind of ramble and let you know where I'm at and what's going on. But do, throw it in the comments. Primarily, I'm seeing comments from YouTube. I think if you're on Twitch, you can throw comments too, but I think most people don't watch what I do on Twitch. Pretty low numbers on Twitch. Ozone Nightmare, thank you. You're so awesome. Says, funny, I have an exact opposite arcade memory. Long time back, I'm playing Marvel superheroes and thinking I'm doing great until a kid at least half my age shows up and wrecks me mercilessly. Yeah, I mean, I've had that experience too. I didn't have it with that game. Definitely with Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat Part 2 and Part 3. But Part 2 was my jam. Oh my goodness. Arcade Mortal Kombat 2. Me and my friend John, my good friend John, who so much of my childhood was spent with John. He's such a rad dude. He and I would go to this place called the Fun Center, and we would just take $40 or $50 and turn it into quarters. We were both working at a restaurant at the time. Or sorry, not a restaurant, a theater. We were working in the theater industry, movie theater industry at the time, and didn't have a whole lot of things to spend our money on. And so we were spending it on music equipment because we're both musicians. And then we got really into Mortal Kombat 2. And so we just go there and just like, here's $40, give me quarters. And we just sit for hours at Mortal Kombat 2, MK2, and play and, practice the fatalities and the babalities and the friendships and all the things. And then someone would walk in and just totally school us. Although we got pretty darn good. I have to say, we definitely got good at a certain point. We could school other people. So that was definitely my fighting game. Savagely, that kid had Iron Man splattering me all over the screen. Yeah, right? Yeah. I'm not too familiar with that game, but I've never been really kind of at all connected to Marvel anything. I was never a comic book kid really, so it didn't really win me over. That's cool, Clinton. A free or included retro video game arcade on board as well. That sounds fun. That sounds rad, actually. I wonder how stocked it is. You have to take a photo and share it. Send me an email or something, or tweet a picture or something. I don't know, but I would love to see. Man, going into like a retro arcade is so much fun. I love it. There was a really good one in Boise, and I don't think it's around anymore. It was called Clinkers. Was it Clinkers? Boise. I think maybe it shut down in the Boise, Idaho arcade games. Grinkers. Grinkers, not clinkers. It was Grinkers. And it says, yeah, closed. But it was, let me see here. Grinkers. I mean, clinkers kind of sounds like a better name to me, but let me see here. Bopadoo. Boopadoo. Grinkers. Vintage arcade. Insert coin. And it was just this huge, there's not many photos showing up of it, but it was just this huge, kind of dark, cavernous place. You go in there and yeah, I just love it. And the sound, like when you go in there, it's kind of got a little musky quality to the air, and the sound. It's just like, where am I going to put my quarter or coin or whatever it is? Because you're probably not playing these games for a quarter anymore. But which one am I going to choose to do that next? And then you run over and you plunk it in, and it holds your attention for a very short amount of time. And then you run to the next one. Oh, I just love it. I love it. It's a shame that there aren't many of them around nowadays. But there are still people who make this sort of thing happen, and I really appreciate that that's the case. Yeah. I mean, I suppose a cheap entertainment, but arcade games could be expensive too. Like there was time when arcade games were pretty inexpensive. It was just a quarter. And well, but games were so hard that like sometimes you put in a quarter and that's like a minute and then you're done because like the game was just so ridiculously hard. So I think it depends on how you look at it. I mean, at that rate, every 5 minutes is $1.25, and that adds up. That adds up. That's why you got to find the game that you're really, really good at, or just play that, because then you don't have to keep plunking in quarters. Let's see here. How have I been finding the numbers on AI Inside versus Textploder versus Travel Vlogs? Any changes from your last update? Well, so, Textploder is still kind of a monthly thing. I have an interview, I think my next interview, well, I'm certain my next interview is with Micah. I don't know when it's going to happen. Either I thought I had sent him a message and then I looked at it this morning and it hadn't sent because I did it through my browser. And long story short, I don't know. I'm having weird connection issues between my phone and the web interface. But anyways, I need to. So I'm thinking about it right now. So I'm going to look at where the Micah message is and see if that is still. Like, did it erase or did it disappear? Yeah, it's not even showing up. Anyways, so Micah for Textploder is the plan. For the next Textploder, that'll be fun. But I'm still like working to schedule him on that, and I want to get that out, this month because it's March and I don't have one for March. I'm kind of okay with the monthly cadence on that. If I had someone doing the other stuff, I might do it more, but I just got so much stuff going on right now. So that's fine. I mean, numbers wise, Textploder is not a numbers generator. It really isn't. It's just kind of like an enjoyment thing for me, and gives me the opportunity to bring familiar faces onto the channel. It's kind of like a collaborative kind of thing. And I feel like it's a little different than what other shows do when they bring on people like that. It's always, they always kind of focus on similar things. And I feel like this one focuses a little differently. And so I'll keep doing it probably at that cadence until something big changes in, my work situation or whatever. AI Inside numbers, I haven't really checked the numbers lately. I do know that we just made a really big booking, and I don't think that I can really talk about it yet, but I can say that the person that we booked is kind of, when you're talking about the different kind of groups of people and where they reside in the AI technology world, you know what I mean? He's right near the top, and I'm kind of blown away that we have booked him. So that person So we're getting some traction on AI Inside from that perspective. We're actually kind of, and what that does is bringing this person on means that we can then kind of lead with that when we reach out to other people of that caliber and say, yeah, we spoke with this person, and that that's why you should too, or whatever. We kind of had that with Sal Khan. He was kind of an elevated, recognizable name, but not quite in AI. Maybe not quite so much. And the guest that we have coming on in like a month is of a caliber that's like, okay, that's cool. People know who this person really know who this person is, and so that's cool. Um, Again, I don't envision that the numbers of AI Inside have grown very much, to be honest. AI Inside kind of seems to stay locked into the audience that it has, which is not small. I would love to see it grow, though, and but between the Patreon and between the ad insertions that we're doing, and I'm working with a new kind of agency for the ads. So they're kind of cutting deals with certain sponsors that go a little deeper. Like, I can't even remember who it was, but I had to record an ad, or two ads actually now at this point in my voice, to run on AI Inside as automatic insertion, and those cost more. So starting to find more ways to kind of make money off of what we are doing right now. But if I'm looking at straight up analytics on AI Inside, um, yeah, it's about the same. It's yeah, it's not really. I wouldn't say AI Inside is growing, um, and it hasn't for months. It's just kind of steady, and part of the reason there is that, like, I don't have all the time to do the promotional stuff. Like, and especially now that I'm writing for different publications, like, I really don't. It just really, at the end of the day, it becomes like, what do I direct my attention to or my focus on that makes me the most money for the time spent. And as I've talked plenty of times on these live streams before about, and AI Inside makes a certain amount of money that is pretty dependable, and I appreciate that about it. Like, it's not a waste of time at all. We both, Jeff and I, get a lot out of it. We're learning a lot about the AI industry and kind of the technology and everything. So that was one big reason why we wanted to do it. And it's pretty steadily earning a certain amount that I can kind of more or less depend on, given that patron stuff doesn't shift around too much. And it hasn't. I mean, it's actually, the Patreon has increased. So that's good. So, does it need to be growing and getting major numbers and everything? It would be nice, but it doesn't need to, because we are funding it through Patreon primarily. And then the automatic ad insertion is another portion. It's less than Patreon, but still, it's like half of Patreon, And so you add those two things up and it's something. It's not nothing. But yes, I would love to get to a point to where it's growing, and hopefully bookings like the one we have coming up help that. But I think in order to help that, I think I also need to effectively promote it, and I'm just not good at that. It's just not my strength. It's not my strength. It's not my interest, and so I'm likely to let it not happen. And that's not going to grow the podcast. Um, so a little bit of a conundrum there, I suppose, but I don't know. We're still getting plenty out of doing it, and enjoying it and learning and earning what we do. So that's AI Inside. Travel vlogs. I enjoy doing them. I've had a couple of them do well. And then like MWC, the video for MWC, I was really happy with it. I was like, man, this got energy. It's got a bunch of weird stuff. And, it was very like, it wasn't a challenge to make. Like pieces really fell into place and everything. I liked how I edited it together, some variety. But it has not done very well. And I think part of the reason is because it came out a little too late. Again, there's only so much time. And if I had more time early on, or if I had a team to hand off the footage to and say, all right, here's the footage, work on that while I do this other stuff, then it could get up sooner and it might be more recent, more current. But if I look at, 820 views, which isn't nothing, but like I'm pretty, I'd say my consistent number on YouTube, I wonder what the average would be. I haven't actually figured that out, but I think my consistent number is somewhere around 2,000, 3,000. And then I have outliers, and I often enough have outliers. So that's great. They go 5, 10. And then, I did that Samsung video that is, where is that sitting at right now? That is sitting at 30. Oh, wow. 34,000. And that's my biggest, my most watched video is the Galaxy S26 Ultra video. So yeah. And then the OnePlus Watch 3 here. I mean, I can show this to you. I'm not showing off anything that's, none of this matters. Here's like my latest videos, right? This is Mobile World Congress. I have played around with the title. I've played around with the thumbnail. And I mean, it's just like flatlined at 820. And so I think, and then, okay, so another travel blog was the Galaxy thing. That's even less, 714. I think something that I'm consistently noticing, and I'm super curious to hear what you all have to say about this, is that a lot of my videos end up around the 20-minute mark. And those videos don't rarely seem to do well. 10 minutes, S24 Ultra, that one did great. 10 minutes, Moto G review, 4,000. Then we're looking kind of more closer to where I, often hit. 20 minutes. Okay, OnePlus 13 review, 20 minutes. 2,600. Not great. 30 minutes, 1,800. 48 minutes, 959 from CES. So I'm recognizing a pattern here where I'm like, okay, my desire, although, then you have an outlier, which this was a kind of a compelling idea. 35 minutes with the Samsung Muhan versus Apple Vision Pro. But this was also very timely. Also, my time with Android XR, that was another travel vloggy thing, but that was very much an exclusive sort of thing. There weren't many people that had that experience that I did. And so there were a lot of people choosing between a small amount. But 1 hour and 9 minutes, that's a commitment. Like if you're a viewer, it takes a while. Like you look at that and you got to make a decision. Like, am I cool to sit here for like the length of like a short movie? And so I'm realizing that I probably need to start focusing on distilling my videos down to be like potency is the word that comes to mind for me, is I need to make my videos shorter and more potent. And so if I look at like the MWC video and I gave the 20-minute version to another editor and said, cut this in half. I want you to trim away half of what's here. I want all the things represented, but for each thing that's represented, cut the focus in half. Only keep the really good stuff. I bet you they could do it. And I bet you the video would do better. All right, so I've been talking. I haven't been looking at chat. I am curious to know what you all think about that. Um, so let me kind of skip there. God, StreamYard sometimes puts all this like overlay stuff and it makes it hard to actually read what is there. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm trying to read this. Lots of arcade discussion. Good. Clinton says, I like longer videos. If you make a change, maybe add some short summary videos in addition to your longer in-depth ones to grab new viewers. Well, and I've considered this with the Mobile World Congress video. I considered doing like, like labeling that director's cut and then releasing another version of it that is like almost like an experiment of like, all right, I'm going to go nuts on the edit here. And which is not to say I'm going to throw in bells and whistles and everything. I'm just going to cut out everything that's extraneous. And actually, when I launched the Mobile World Congress video, I launched it with, kind of like an intro, like, hey, everybody, I'm Jason Howell. I went to Mobile World Congress first time, blah, blah, blah. I saw lots of really crazy stuff. And I did this little montage of all the stuff, thinking that would be enough to like entice people. Like, oh, I'm getting something right now. And then it goes, and this is my really cool trip to Barcelona, blah, 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 with this title sequence. And then it jumps right in. And I'm right now, I'm started to belong to this community called Orbit that is all independent content creators. Figure it's good for me to, kind of be involved in community and learn from community and lift each other up and that sort of stuff and be supported. But that was one of the things that the guy who runs that told me to do. He was like, well, I'm watching this and I'm thinking, why don't you just start the video at, this is what I saw. This is the really cool stuff I saw, Barcelona, blah, blah, blah. And then it cuts right into it. Get rid of the intro stuff. The intro stuff doesn't need to happen. They've already clicked on it. They already kind of know what it's going to be about. I don't need to do, and here's what I realize, and I think I've mentioned this before, is that I'm so used to the podcast thing because I have been a podcaster for as long as I have, that I fall into the podcaster trap on my videos, which is I talk a lot, kind of like I'm doing right now. But I talk around things and through things, and sometimes I don't get quite to the point. I have a lot of setup, or I feel like I need to like intro and kind of create a soft landing for you. And I'm really learning that YouTube works very different than that. YouTube seems to be like, just cut to the chase, just get to it, waste no time, get there. And so anyways, that's my long-winded way of saying the vlog style videos, I enjoy doing them. I love the sequential recording and then the sequential edit, just because it kind of removes ambiguity from the process. But I think I'm leaving them a little long. I think what I need to do next time is I need to set myself a goal and say, you're not releasing a video until it's 10 minutes long. And if I end up on the timeline with like 25 minutes worth of stuff, well, I better go through and I better trim it down. And, I might get rid of some stuff that I would like to have in there. But as an experiment, I'm just kind of curious, like, would that format work better if I cut it and really just kept the potent pieces there? And I don't know, my guess is that it would be more effective. I think there are a lot of people like you, Clinton, that like the longer form content. You're probably part of that reason is because you are a podcast listener, and podcast listeners generally enjoy longer form content. But YouTube is different. And I feel like I need to do a better job of approaching it differently. And that's something that's taken me a while to realize, but I'm realizing it now. And I think the crummy thing for me about that is cutting it down from 20 to 25 minutes all the way down to 10 requires more time. It requires more attention and more detail and more time. And I get impatient. At the end of the day, I get impatient with my content, and I hit a point where I'm just like, I just want to push this out and move on to the next thing. Like this is only going to be so good. I don't want to like labor so much over a single thing. I want it to be good, but I want to also let it go. Let it go. Um, yeah, Ozone, you say you watch a lot of videos that are 30 minutes to over 2 hours. I think you are outliers. I think honestly you are outliers because when I look at the stats for some of these videos, the duration of time that people actually watch is a whole lot shorter than the actual duration of the video. Let's go on a analytics journey. So, welcome to my overwhelming income from my Woe World Congress video. I've gained 5 subscribers. That's good. Hello. $2.63 for that video. Thank God I'm making money in different ways for trips like Woe World Congress because that's not sustainable. 92.8 hours. So breakdown of how viewers found this video. 66% found it through YouTube recommendations. Most of that from YouTube Home. Only 8.6% from subscribers. And when you hear people talking about the lessening of importance around subscribership, that's why. Because YouTube is doing a really good job of putting videos in front of people that aren't your subscribers. From there, it's up to you to entice them to click, right? Is your thumbnail accurate or good? Is your title on point? And I think is the duration. What's the word I'm looking for? Like, are you okay with that? I don't know. I had a better word in mind, but I can't remember it. Okay, so here's kind of what I was going to point out to you. This is a 20-minute, 37-second video. Average view duration, 6 minutes, 49 seconds. Now, this is never going to be very, very high because it's the average, right? Some people click in, they only have 2 minutes. That pushes the average down. Some people watch the whole thing. That pushes the average up. So it's a good question. Like, 32.8% average percentage viewed. So let's think about that. 32.8%. Now let's go to a 10-minute video, my Samsung, which is maybe a little unfair. Okay, so that's slightly more, 36.6%. But then you also get, a lot of these kind of indicators as far as like when people came back or where did they skip to. I'm curious, like, what is that? When I click there. Oh, okay. So this is, you couldn't hear it because I don't have audio shared, but this is where I start to. So this first half is all, what is the S25 Ultra? This is all like, here's what Samsung announced. And this last part is the promise of the video, which is don't get it. Here are reasons why. And so that's why this jumps up. Anyways, that's a little off topic. This is how YouTube, metrics work. But okay, so 36.6% viewed. Let's find another one here. Okay, OnePlus Watch. Dude, 27.7% viewed. People were not as, which is weird for me because this is like a total like, it was kind of like an action video, compared to anything else I have on the channel. And, some of the comments that I saw were like, I actually liked the snowboarding parts more than I liked the review parts, which I get. I understand. I wonder what this is because it bumps up here. Let's see here. We'll go right there. It'll skip forward. Yeah, I don't know why that. I don't know why that jumps there. That's nothing, and then dips. Here's a big dip right here. What was that the result of? Okay, so it's dipping while I'm doing all the fun stuff. So, people wanted a review. They wanted a review. They got a snowboard video. I thought it would be a differentiator, like my review is different than the other reviews, and it is. But as you can see, it didn't really amount to much. $7.27 revenue. I did gain 12 subscribers, so they're probably snowboard fans. That's good to know. Let's take a look at another one while we're at it. Here's Moto G. Okay, Moto G, 4,000 views. Made almost $20 off of that. It's not, again, we're not talking big numbers here. Actually, the Samsung video did well on income. But this one, Moto G, 28.6%. All right, so this is kind of, this isn't quite supporting my hunch, which is that the longer ones get less average view. This is kind of showing that the shorter ones are getting less. The Samsung one, which again, I wish I could make that on every video. That would be nice. 36 points. So longer view, shorter video. All right. So, from that perspective, then Mobile World Congress is kind of in the ballpark. It just didn't get many people to click. You see how it kind of flattened out? And this is the last 48 hours. I think this is right here the last time I changed the thumbnail and title. So sometimes it does give you a spike, because sometimes I think when you make that change, it signals YouTube that you made a change, and it kind of begins to kind of seed things out a little bit differently. Anyways, I don't know how interesting this sort of stuff is to you, but this is kind of where I'm at right now. Like, how can I analyze what I'm doing to know whether, and oh, jam, look at that. That's like a table. That is a table. And yeah, two views last 48 hours. People do not care about this Samsung Galaxy Unpacked behind the scenes video. So there you go. 28.1%. Yeah. I wonder if it's possible to show me the video that has, okay. So let's see here. This is one that absolutely flopped for me. Day 3 of CES. There wasn't a whole lot on offer. It was a little shorter, but still 1852. That's not short by any stretch. Woo, talk about a table. Look at that. 28.3. Okay. All right. So, 30 some odd percent is looking to be kind of good compared to the last handful of videos that I pulled up. This one's a little different. 39.2%. So goals for 2025. But, once again, though, there's no long tail on this. Anyways, again, no one's watched it in the last 48 hours. Oh, that's embarrassing. But still, it all adds up. The more content I put on here, the more, this is the kind of thing that slowly over time, the OnePlus 13 review will continue to garner views. 26.7. So not very good from a average percentage viewed. Interesting. Then you see here, 16,000 impressions, 6% click-through, which, I consider that to be pretty decent click-through, actually, based on what I've learned over time. Sometimes I can get that upwards of 8 and 9%. Sometimes it just rests at 3. And actually, that's kind of the problem that I'm seeing with Mobile World Congress, is that click-through on this, 3.2%. So whoever sees, it's either the title or the thumbnail or both that they're seeing, 16,000. So this was put in front of 16,000 eyeballs, and only 3.2% people actually clicked on it. And that's why I've got 818 views on it. That's why it did not do very well. And that is packaging. 100% that is packaging. Maybe it's also length, but I don't know. I think this little walkthrough of analytics is kind of showing me maybe it isn't length. That doesn't seem to be moving this in either direction. Anyways, product reviews are getting people who are looking to buy. They invest more time into watching versus vlogs is more for your core audience who are more interested in you. That's a really good point, Daniel, is that not every video that I do is for every type of viewer. I'm happy you mentioned that because I forgot about that, but that is absolutely true. Not every video that I do is for every single viewer. Some like the video that I did, I don't know how many months ago. Where is it? You know, Books Palma Secrets. I did this specifically because I wanted to test Longtail. And when I launched this, it did not do very well. I was very disappointed with how it did out of the gate because this was kind of around the Books Palma time frame where people were going nuts over Palma. And I was like, I got to get a video out about Palma. And I'm going to do secrets. You know, these are the things that underneath the hood that I like and that I set on it. And so I put it out and it did not do very well in the beginning. But as you can see, I mean, over time, it continues to rack up views. This tells me maybe I need to do more of this stuff, not because this appeals to the vlog viewer, because not everybody's going to have a Books Palma that's subscribed to me, but it definitely pulls people in who have that very specific need. And as you can see, it gained 103 subscribers out of it. 33.8% viewed. Let's see, reach. 5.4% click through on 215,000 impressions. Yeah, interesting, right? So I'm happy you mentioned that because that is absolutely true. Let's see here. This is another good one for me. Chromecast died for this. I loved that title. I was like, oh, that's going to like either upset people or get people to be like, oh, whoa, that's a bold statement. But it was true. You know, and 209 subscriber gains, 5.4%. Yeah, it's, 224,000 impressions. I thought the thumbnail was intriguing enough. I thought the title was, intriguing enough. This one flopped. Now this live stream is just turned into analyzing my videos. So if you find this boring, I'm sorry. This one totally flopped. This was what I'm realizing is a lot of the videos that I've done over the last year have been kind of trial balloons. They've been like, well, what if I did this kind of thing? What if I did that kind of thing? Which, everybody tells you got to do. But I don't know that at the time I necessarily thought of it that way. But in hindsight, I'm realizing it is. This was me trying to put together a kind of like opinion piece, or an analysis piece as opposed to straight news. And, that only lasted for so long. Maybe people don't care about the difference between Apple Intelligence and Gemini. It was shorter and got a better percentage viewed, 44.5%. But people don't like me making a dumb face thumbnail, apparently, because there's not a lot more to go on with that thumbnail. Anyways, I could do this all day. Last one I'll do. Osmo Pocket 3. This was from a live stream just like this, where I was doing a live stream and I had the Osmo for like a month, and I kind of did an impromptu kind of like review of it on the live stream. Then I was like, well, I should break that out because the Osmo is a big deal. Obviously not that big a deal because it only has received 550,000, a full-on table, 4 subscribers. Did not do well at all. 29.4% viewed. And so maybe that's, the approach to a live stream. Oh my goodness. It's a horrible click-through rate. So that could be the really big reason. Yeah, it's not my favorite thumbnail. I think at the time I was like, ooh, that looks different. But, as I look at it now, I'm kind of like, it's boring. But, you got to play around with this stuff to know what works for you and what doesn't. And that's really what I've been doing. But I appreciate your reminder. Product reviews are for a wider view of people. Vlogs are for people who already know me, who want to kind of get connected to that. So then, it's just incumbent upon me to put out content that serves all the different types of audiences. And I remember a conversation that I had with Renee Ritchie while I was still working at Twit. I was still at Twit, but I was considering going independent. And at the time, I was considering going independent, but with the intention of marketing myself as a podcast educator. Like my thought was, I'm going to go independent. I've been doing podcasts for as long as I have. I'm going to become a podcast educator. I'm going to fire up a YouTube channel and do all sorts of podcast related content for production and marketing and blah, 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 everything related to it. And then while I'm doing that, I'm also going to build a course. And I was going to create like an actual course and then do the YouTube marketing of the course. And, I honestly, I still think it would probably do well. I don't know how well though, because it's hard to make money with podcasting. But anyways, that's beside the point. And I was having conversations with a lot of creators, and Renee didn't work at YouTube at the time, but he was, so he was running his own YouTube channel. And that was one of the things that he told me. He's like, you need to have 3 buckets on your YouTube channel. And those 3 buckets, it was like 3 or 4, they each serve a different type of viewer. You've got your basic bucket, which is what is a podcast, why you might need a podcast. That's like the person walking through the door. Then you need your intermediate bucket. I'm simplifying it, but your intermediate bucket, which is, getting advertisers, signing up with ad agencies, or, why joining a podcast network is good. Basically you're following them along their trail, their progress line of getting into podcasts. And then at the top, it's like, running your agency, running your podcast, blah, blah, blah. And whatever falls in between, the technicality aspect of that could be part of it too. Like, your intro is your basic podcast equipment setup. This is what you need for $1,000. You can get all this. That appeals to your basic to get started. And then your middle of the road is like to elevate your podcast. This is what you need. That appeals to the middle, and so on and so forth. And I don't know that I've run my current channel, because I think that would probably apply to any type of channel, not just a channel where you're intending to sell a course or whatever. And I don't think I really do that with my channel right now. I'm a little more scattered, which, I mean, hello, my name is Jason Hell. I'm kind of, I can be kind of scattered, but anyways. Oof. Shorter, more potent makes sense. Yeah, well, Lou, okay. So, yes. So allow me to celebrate, to go ahead and give myself a pat on the back and a little bit of gold, because I learned that at Mobile World Congress. Sorry, I'm vamping while I try and get to the right place, because I got my first 1.2 million view. And you're not going to hear the audio, but this was okay. And so let's talk about this, because this has me scratching my head. And actually, my wife, I think, gave me the keys to why this was a success when we were talking about it. She pointed out, so yes, it's a hands-on with a product, right? It's a hands-on with a product during a very timely moment. Mobile World Congress, this was day 1. I think I released this at the end of day 1. It was the evening, but that was the morning in the US, if I'm not mistaken. I could have that backwards, but anyways, doesn't matter. It was still very timely. It's just a hands-on. It's a hands-on with the Osmo. It's got a wide angle lens, so it has a little bit of kind of like an up close kind of personal vibe to it. I didn't think too deeply when I recorded this. I just scribbled down some notes on a phone and mounted the phone next to the Osmos, out of shot, you can't see it, with those notes so that I could get them right. Meanwhile, I totally got one of the specs wrong, the most important one, how thin it is. It is not 5.3 millimeters. It is 5.75, which is what it says on the damn screen there. But I got that wrong. Anyway, it doesn't matter. That promotes engagement, and that's kind of its own win. But anyways, I don't think that the success of this is entirely the device. Like, it's neat, but, and it's curious. It's very thin. So there's that. I don't think that the success of this is entirely because of the location either. It's Mobile World Congress, it's Barcelona, is very timely. And so certainly it benefited from that. But my wife pointed out, she's like, the framing of this video and you being next to that screen gives the eye so much to like be entertained by when you watch it. And I think she's spot on. Like throughout the course of the entire 60 seconds or however long this thing is, everything is changing because of that screen. You know, things get bright, things get dark, there's motion, there's color. Like, you know, it's flashing enough to hold your attention. And it's not so long that you end up boring of it either. I kind of got to the point and got out. And as a result, this is now at 1.2 million. So easily the single piece of content that I have that has been most successful for me in anything that I've done as an independent. And possibly even at Twit, actually, because when I was at Twit, I did a video on the YouTube channel that was of the Infinideck tripod for virtual reality. And the reason that that video did well, it was like right under 1 million at its peak. The reason it did well is because it was the same treadmill that was used in Ready Player One. And it was right around the time Ready Player One was a big deal. And I got to go and use it and interview the guy, the team who created it. And so I've always considered that my most successful single piece of content, but this is it now. This is it. I mean, it's at 1.2 million a week later. It continues to rise. So I'm looking at it and I'm like, well, what can I learn from this? Super curious to hear what you guys think about that. But I think my wife is onto something. Like one thing that I'm considering, because I have the Nothing Phone 2A, or sorry, 3A. And there she is. Have fun. I've got the Nothing Phone 3A, right? And I'm writing a review. I'm going to have a review on ZDNet of this, but I also want to do a video. And my thought is, okay, this gives me an indication of something to try. If, you know, I have to throw out recency because I'm not at a conference that everybody's like tuning into. There are already plenty of Nothing Phone 3A reviews out there. So if I'm to do a review and I do it in my studio, the standard review way that I've done 1 million times and the way that everybody else does it, I'm convinced that it's going to do okay. It might do fine, but I don't think it's going to do great. And like I'm wondering from this, oh, sorry, that isn't even the right phone. I'm holding up the wrong damn phone. Right? No? Yeah, no, I'm holding up the wrong phone. Here's the actual phone that I'm reviewing, the Nothing Phone 3A. That I think is like I think that's the 2A. It's the 2 or the 2A. I'm not sure. Anyways, so then I'm like, okay, well then are there locations where I can go? It's just like a gimmick. It's like, how can I get out of my studio and do a product review? And maybe it has absolutely nothing to do with the location that I'm at, but it's different and it looks interesting. Like, for example, I'm driving around Petaluma, you know, it's a farm town. And there is this mill, this huge, massive mill in the center of town. I'm like, well, what if I like find a location inside the mill or something? Or, you know what I mean? Where I can throw a wide angle lens on my Osmo and I don't have to overthink it. I don't have to bring my big, you know, honking, amazing quality 4K camera because I don't want to overthink it. I want it to be easy and kind of run and gun so that I don't get overwhelmed by the process. And I can just, you know, have a phone that has my notes on it mounted the way I did it at Mobile World Congress. And I just go, okay, I'm going to go over there now. And that's going to be my background for this next part. And I do it. And then I go over there now. And, you know, and like, it almost doesn't even need to matter why I'm there. You know, maybe I take some photos with the camera to kind of demonstrate the camera capabilities. And that's the tie-in. But there's something curious about like, oh, he's doing a review at a mill. He's doing a phone review of something I've already seen 5 reviews with, but he's doing it at a mill. Why is he doing it at a mill? And I don't know. I think there's something to that. It's worth trying. So, or I take my butt down 45 minutes and I park myself with an amazing view of the Golden Gate Bridge. Like I have access to things around here. It takes a little more effort. It's way easier in the studio to just hit record, but I don't know. Worth trying. Could be a thing. This is my nothing phone 3A review at the Golden Gate Bridge. And then at least if you're not like 100% dialed into the review, you're looking at the background going, oh my God, that's beautiful. I wish I was there reviewing a phone, or scratching your head like, wait a minute, why is he there reviewing a phone? And then meanwhile, you've got people in the background like going on their jog, like staring at me as they're running, I got to kind of put my ego to the side a little bit while I'm there doing this, but I think it'd be hilarious and different and not the same as everything. Ooh, that was some rambling. And you all are just so great at chatting and adding to. um, well, it is rare that you don't watch an entire video. That's awesome, Clinton. I appreciate that. I like 13. 13's a great number. Let's see here. Nate OG, thank you for the super chat, man. He says, here's an idea. Divide your long form pod into segments to keep the topics potent. Release the pod on audio platforms as one. Slice it up by segment here for YouTube. It's an interesting idea. Interesting idea if I had someone to do the work. Slicing it up. Oh, God, that just sounds... I like the idea, though. I like the strategy. Let me make sure you understand where I'm coming from. I think the strategy and the idea is worth trying, and I think it's great. I hate the idea of the work that's involved in it. If I'm completely honest. Breaking it up into pieces. I mean, to a certain degree, I'm kind of doing that, right? Like I took the Samir Samat interview that we had on AI Inside, and I'm breaking that up into little chunks as more like a promotional thing. And I mean, kind of unsurprising to me, it's not doing very well. Maybe I'm not writing effective titles and descriptions for it to give people an idea of that. I don't know. Or maybe I need to have like Samir's name and title emblazoned on the thumbnail so people actually know who this dude is, because if you're in the Android circle, and deep enough in the Android circle, you know who he is. But if you're not, you're just like, oh, there's two guys on a podcast. You don't actually know who that is, right? Becca Farsace, she was on Textploder. That is not... I wish that I could change that thumbnail. Anyways, because I feel bad for her for that being my thumbnail. But she's holding up a phone, and often those kinds of things do well. And, that got 3642. That's not horrible. For my Instagram numbers, that's a good video. I've seen my follower count on Instagram jump from... Well, we don't need to see who's following. I wanted to see analytics. I've seen it go from slightly over 1,000 before I posted this video to where it is now, 4,865, and continues to increase. So that shows you the power of like releasing something that takes off and goes viral. Now, will those people actually follow and watch the rest of the stuff I put out? I don't know. I mean, I've had a lot of those new people and released a number of things since, and they've done okay. I don't know. Maybe the numbers are more, have increased more. I don't know. But it does make me feel like I should prioritize Instagram a little bit more now that I have a little bit more audience there, as I'm kind of looking back. I'm seeing triple digits, which was my norm for a very long time. Actually, except for the random outlier like Shannon Morris and whatever, triple digits were kind of the way for me. And that's, kind of why I was like, I don't know if I need to spend time on Instagram. Except for these early ones. But and now they are increasing. So I guess there is something to it. 2, 3,000, 8,000. And I think Instagram's kind of a good thing to have a good thing going on from a monetization standpoint, from sponsors and that sort of stuff. Anyways, Nate OG, I really appreciate the idea. That certainly has my mind going. We'll say it's hard for me to divorce the idea of the fact that when I record a podcast, I have the full video. And so why would I not just release it? And that's just purely based on the fact that that's the paradigm that I'm used to from Twit and from Buzz Out Loud and CNET and all that. So not offering the full thing when I know I already have it and I know that some people would prefer to have it would be really hard for me. It'd be hard for me to rationalize that with myself. But I like that's a cool way to think about it differently. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do right now is just because I'm used to doing things a certain way doesn't necessarily mean it's the right way to do it. Times have changed. Media has changed. Maybe there's just different ways for me to approach this. So thank you. And thank you for the super chat. That was really, really nice of you. I really appreciate it. It's great to have you here. Yeah. So AVP, hi. Love AI Insight because you and Jeff are learning. I learn along with you both. I enjoy the fact that you don't have all the answers. More importantly, the show asks a lot of questions. You're right, it does. Sometimes I wonder if we're asking too many questions and not answering enough of them. But I think that's just kind of a symbol of where we are, and by we I mean Jeff and I, and kind of by extension you too, with AI, trying to understand it. We're asking a lot of questions that we don't necessarily have the answers to. Boy, I am really behind on comments, you guys. I'm really sorry. I don't know that I have very much time to go through every one of them. Ozone says, I'm not sure these analytics graphs are as useful as they seem. Analyzing every moment of a video to pinpoint viewer engagement could drive you insane. I completely agree. I rarely ever do what I did with you guys, by the way. I do not pore over analytics. Possibly even as much as I probably should. I should pay closer attention to them. But I'm so used to when I worked at Twit, I remember Lisa telling me, especially when I became a host and I was hosting and producing and everything, I'd be like, how's the show doing? And she's like, you don't need to worry about that. It's not your job to pay attention to the analytics. We'll pay attention to the analytics. You just keep making great shows. And I enjoyed being able to not be directed by that. And so I largely with what I'm doing here, it's gut instinct and it's based on that because you're right. I know for myself, I could drive myself absolutely bonkers getting too clued in on analytics, but they are interesting. They do represent something and they're important. Oh, it's sunny and raining. That's like my favorite weather event is when the sun is out and it's raining. Oh, it just makes my heart happy. It just looks so peaceful and calm, even though I know it's really cold outside. Bay Area cold, Let's see here. I'm not reading everything out loud, just so you know I can't. I just don't have the time for it right now. I'm definitely already a little bit longer than I had time for. But I want to give some voices who have not been represented a chance to shine here. Brad says, for me, with a review, I often want a web page with a few bullets, not a long form video. I like you showing off how things with it work and secrets, not the specs. That's definitely something that I am learning right now is that the specs roundup, I'm working to focus less on that. Right. I think in an article, they need to be represented in some way. If I'm doing a review article of a piece of technology, I think some of the most important specs need to be represented in a certain way, but not like it has this and this. It also does blah, 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 and this, because if you wanted to know that, you could just go to the product page and it would tell you those things. A article review, this is something that I'm learning as I write them, is very much the same as a good video review, which is, this is not telling you fact about the device and like what specs and storage and processor, whatever. This is about experience. And that's why you go to my YouTube page, search for Jason Howell. It makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? That's why if you go to my YouTube page, my banner says Experience Tech. Because that's what I want to be. If I'm doing my job right, in my mind, that's what I'm sharing with you, is my experience with technology. What is the experience of using this technology or taking this technology to the mountains and snowboarding with it or whatever? It's kind of a play on words because it's my experience using it and my tech experience, because I've been doing this stuff for 20 years, right? And I should lead with that. That's a strength that I have that a lot of people doing this don't have. And I think it's taken me a while to embrace that as like something that I feel comfortable mentioning and just kind of pounding into people's heads. Like, I've been here a long time. Like, that's why I'm here doing this, because that's the perspective that I bring. And so it's about experience. So I appreciate that. Thank you, Brad. Yeah, great. Awesome. That must be why it's doing well. He said, Brad says the Books Palma one was a very unique perspective. See, I thought the OnePlus Watch 3 was a unique perspective, and it's not doing very well too. So it doesn't always work that way, but it is a unique perspective, and it also only really appeals to someone who's a snowboarder or a skier or likes the snow or likes the mountains. You know what I mean? It's still kind of pigeonholed itself because it's so specific. Even though it's different. Yeah. Hi, Zoe. Good to have you here. And Clarence. Yeah, I mean, consistency is important. Brad says, I actually think putting out a bunch of different styles and types of videos for different audiences is not a great idea. I want consistency. I want to know what that notification means. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I agree with that. I agree that consistency is important. Sorry. Yeah, I'm torn on that. I totally agree. I want to know that as well. And I want to reach as many people as possible. And I don't want to have to like sell my soul to do it either. I don't know what any of that means. I think I might be reaching the end. But anyways, I appreciate your feedback. Thank you for that. So Clarence, yeah, interesting that you ask that. Let's see here. That short. The same short that did well on Instagram. Where is it? Didn't do horrible. 12,000. For my shorts views, 44 subscribers. That's what I consider the big win for this video on YouTube. I got nearly 50 new subscribers out of that one video, and that's great. I like that. I'm never making money on YouTube from shorts. It just never happens. But that's a solid shorts number. It's not the same kind of number that I got on Instagram, right? They never seem to track as far as that's concerned. I really thought this Android short was going to do well. I was like, oh, this is like my core audience will get this one, and it has not. On all platforms, it's kind of petered out and not done well. Anyways, I like it a lot. Yeah, Daniel, that's a good point. Nothing phone review, put it out in your way, but since it's past the discovery phase, you can experiment a little more. Totally true. Yes, and it is taking tech outside. It's certainly I'm not trying to invade on Becca's territory. That's not my thought. I see Becca taking the tech outside to mean like she's really integrating her tech reviews into her daily life, right? And I could certainly do that, but I'm not interested in video in having a camera with me for everything that I do. I like to have my moments where I'm doing that stuff and then my moments where I'm not. And I'm sure she does too, but that's my understanding. That's my take on what she means by taking tech outside, you know. It goes the places she goes and her reviews end up going in that direction. And I mean, I'm doing a little bit of that. I when I was getting on the plane to come home from Barcelona, like literally getting on the plane to I'm walking through the plane with my the Nothing Phone 3A in front of me and my Pixel back here, you know, and I'm recording. And as I'm walking through, because I'm like, oh, this would be an interesting piece of B-roll, you know? And so I captured like a minute of me walking through a plane with it because I was just like, oh, that's different. Like, you don't see that many times. So that'll make for an interesting kind of background. So maybe it is the same. It's similar. I'm not quite sure. Joe. Hey, Joe. Yes. The PR40 does sound good. It's a great mic. It is a fantastic mic. That's why the Twit Studio is all in on it. And it's not that expensive in the grand scheme of things as far as mics are concerned. Yeah, no, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Like some of my favorite B-rolls of products that I'm reviewing from the last year are outside in my backyard where I've got like, you know, random like pieces of wood and stumps and you know plants and stuff. Like I love the juxtaposition between technology and earthiness, and I just think they look really cool as contrast. And so that's kind of what I was thinking with the mill. Also, it's kind of like a little of the old, little of the new, that sort of thing. All right, yes, Daniel, Opus Clip does do the breaking up into pieces, but as I say every time this sort of thing comes up, companies like that want you to believe, and maybe it works like this for somebody. It's never worked like this for me. I've been an Opus Clip subscriber now for a year and 2 months, so I've been using it for a long time. They want you to believe that you load your podcast in there, you hit go, it gives you 30 usable clips, and you just schedule them and you're done because it's got like an AI title generator and an AI description. I'm telling you, okay, let's go down this road. You want to go down this road? Let's go down it. I was going to stop, but you've opened up a can of worms. I'm not going to play these videos because I think we could spend a lot of time. But I loaded like the Samir Samat interview, you know, and I put in a high quality split screen of it and just said, hey, you know, come up with what you come up with. So any of this output that you're seeing, oh, you're not seeing it here. Hold on. Sorry. I thought I put it on there. Any of the output you're seeing on the screen right now was generated by Opus Clips. So we're talking 5, 10, 15, 16, 18 clips. And they, you know, they do the thing like they're like, oh, these are trending. These are trending topics. You should do that, you know. And of course, I've marked some of these and I've used it. And it tells you if you've calendar scheduled any of these clips to post. And I think these two have posted. This one I haven't really prepped yet. I might not even release it. It's pretty short and everything. But I'm not saying Opus Clip isn't a cool tool. It is. But I'm saying that the idea that it's going to save you massive amounts of time just doesn't prove to be true for me because and maybe it saves me some time, but that doesn't mean that it makes it easy. You know, if I go into this, it gives me an indication of like what the transcript is that they pulled out. That's super handy, right? I can go into here, and actually this is probably a poor example because it's such a short clip that I don't know. Here, give me 1 second. Let me see. Might as well just go for it. This might be a bad example actually. Let's see. Let's go ahead and play it and see.
Another demo that was shown off was, you have the glasses on and you're just walking around your house, and then
Yeah, this is a bad one because there's no
where did I
cuts.
leave my keys?
So this would be actually a pretty easy one to go for.
And I can relate.
Right, so it could tell you, oh, they're on your nightstand, So I think that's pretty cool.
Okay, and that might actually appeal to somebody. That's actually a good clip as far as I'm concerned from Opus Clip because it's short. There's no cuts. Where things start to get a little confusing is when let's see here. We're going to go back here. I don't know. Are there any cuts in this one? Or, it could also just be that my standard is just too high. Like when I go through this, I'm like, okay, 59 seconds. Is this
AI
good?
obviously is a very important technology. And one of the things we announced here at the show is how we're improving the Gemini capability on Android, which we've deeply connected with the entire smartphone system. So you can long press the power button on pretty much any premium Android phone now, whether it's a Samsung Galaxy or a Pixel or a Xiaomi device or whatever your favorite is, and you can get Gemini. And one of the cool things we showed off as a company in December of last year was a project called Astra, where we were integrating multimodal AI models.
Okay, this is okay. So it's proving me wrong. Where it will prove me right though is if I was to go. Let's see here. Let's say I was going to schedule this one. So we're going to go back out here. We're going to go to calendar. We're going to schedule. Gemini AI, now on Android with live video chat. This is all AI written. Experience the future of AI on Android. Gemini's integration with Project Astra lets you interact with your phone in groundbreaking new ways. Long press your power button to access Gemini and explore its multimodal capabilities, including live video analysis and screen sharing. Get ready for the next generation of smartphone AI. And then a whole series of tags. And again, I feel like it's totally trying to prove me wrong. Like that's actually reasonably okay. What I don't like is when they do the AI generation around titles and descriptions and stuff like that. They end up going hardcore down the road of like, you'll be amazed at the blah, 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 blah. And I end up having to go in and kind of doing all that. And it's just, it takes time and it's not enjoyable for me. Let's see here. AI outfit planner, Gemini getting dressed. Easy. Gemini getting dressed easy. This is a pretty short clip. Let me see if I was to plan on this. See Gemini in action. The video demonstrates practical applications of Gemini on smartphones, like coordinating outfits from your closet using your phone's camera. Discover how Gemini simplifies daily tasks. Like I end up feeling like an advertisement if I do it that way. And you can go in, you can regenerate. So let's see here. Let's regenerate question. And so then it'll fire it off. And we'll wait. Don't have to wait very long. I mean, really, at the end of the day, I end up writing all these because the AI output, I might be able to take a piece here and there, but can smartphone tech, smartphone emoji, help you match outfits, dress, stars? In our video, we explore the innovative Gemini technology that assists in selecting outfits effortlessly. Discover how this cutting-edge feature can transform your wardrobe choices and solve everyday fashion dilemmas for us all. I don't know. Maybe I'm too harsh of a critic, but it goes far down the cheese rabbit hole for me. And yeah, I guess, as Daniel says, it gives a good idea and tags. Oh, tags don't work anymore on Instagram? Is that like a thing? Because if so, I didn't know that. Yeah. Anyways, I don't know. I feel like I wanted to show you the problem with Opus Clip and it didn't work. Some of those were actually pretty good examples. But there's something about it. Like I just feel like I got to go in there and cut and trim and reposition. I guess it's a good starting point. I think just at the end of the day, companies like Opus Clip want you to think that you can just fire it up and if you follow their marketing, it's like, just load your podcast in, and in 60 seconds, you'll have 16 clips to share. Just schedule them and go on with your day. And it's like, no, I'm sorry. It doesn't work like that. And if it does for someone, I would love to know how they're able to make it work like that, because I always have to go in and trim and adjust and rewrite. And that's for each individual clip. And I peter out. I lose steam. I hit 3 of them and I'm like, all right, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. Like, I've got other things I need to spend my time on, you know? I don't know. That's me. Maybe it's a me problem. Anyways, with that, I am now 30 minutes later than I expected. You guys are too good at keeping me here. I do have to work on my review of the Nothing Phone 3A. So, you know, my process right now is write the article review and then turn that into a video review. So that's what I'm going to be doing with my day. That and taking Sir Bronson to get his haircut, which is going to be here pretty soon, actually. So, anyways, thanks for being here. It's great chatting with you. I love being able to open up the chats and talk to you all. And big thank you to Ozone Nightmare and Nate OG for sharing not only your knowledge, but also your dollars. I appreciate the super thanks. That was really, really nice of you. Thank you, Zoe. I appreciate that. You know, I think I'll round this out by saying, I think what I'm doing is working. Finally. I'm not at a point where I'm earning the kind of money I was making working full time, but I am earning more. And really, at the end of the day, I can only do this if I can make a living out of it. And I was kind of reaching a point near the end of last year where it was like, I don't know if this is going to work. And then I started to kind of open up to the idea of doing other things that weren't just video. And that's the writing, right? I'm writing for ZDNet, Digital Trends, Micro Center. That gives me pathways to shake a tree when I need to make money. That also allows me to take a review that I would normally be doing, a video review, and as you saw, not earning very much through YouTube's kind of process. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. And turn it into more money, right? Because if I publish that on a publication, they pay me for it. And then if I turn it into video, then that has the potential to make more near term and then also long term. And so I'm starting to think of different ways that I can just be more effective. And then, of course, Daily Tech News show briefing. That was really, Tom invited me on because he wanted me to be a part of it, and I super appreciate it. But whether he intended it to be or not, that has really been a lifeline for me, because that gives me a baseline monthly income for my efforts there. And it's really great to have that, because that's one less thing I have to be worried about. And I'm getting faster at it and better at it and everything. And Lou, you're so kind. Thank you so much. That is really awesome. Lou's super chat, $10. No, thank you. No, you're the greatest. Thank you, Lou. That's awesome. Y'all are great. I will do more of these live streams as I can. I'm happy that I could fire it up today. And yeah, more coming soon. Sometime soon here in the next week or so, there will be a Micah Sargent Texploder. So I got to get that recorded. And yeah, so there we go. Thank you, Noah. Thank you, Zoe. Y'all are awesome. And I'm going to go ahead and thanks. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and click end stream because I can get stuck in a loop here. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you soon. And appreciate your support. Okay.